Heartwarming love story revealed. Humble mechanic transforms engine wins CEO's unexpected heart. Jake stood over the engine of a rusted pickup truck, grease staining his hands and face, but he didn't mind. He was a mechanic, a role not just taken on for money, but out of necessity ever since his father's passing left him as the head of his family. A single mom and a younger sister depended on him. The weight of responsibility sat heavy on his chest, but Jake channeled that tension into his work. Each time he fixed an engine, he envisioned a better world for his family. They strapped on smiles and pride that sometimes felt like their only currency. One fateful afternoon, a sleek, luxurious car rolled into his modest garage. It looked like a dream and felt out of place. "Can you fix it?" A voice called from the driver's seat. Jake glanced up. There she was, Lily, the estranged daughter of a powerful CEO, searching for a way to break free from her gilded cage. Instantly, he noticed the glimmer of hope in her eyes, yearning for connection. He nodded, nervous yet intrigued. As he worked, they bantered. Each witty remark ignited laughter, spinning a web of shared aspirations. Jake saw in her the possibility of a genuine relationship, one built on laughter and honesty, unlike the hollowness of wealth. Something stirred inside him. It felt foreign yet exhilarating. For the first time in months, the weight on his shoulders lightened. Maybe he was just a mechanic. Maybe he was more. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but not everyone shared the warmth of their budding connection. Whispers rippled through the town, tightening the noose of societal prejudice around Jake's neck. What would a CEO think of a mechanic? They whispered. As her father learned of her new friend, he erupted in disapproval. "Lily, you're too good for that." Each judgment stung deeper than the last, casting doubt on the bond Jake believed they were forging. Doubt turned to despair when a crisis struck their community, a flood that threatened their homes and the businesses that served as lifelines. While most fled, Jake rolled up his sleeves. He knew hard work and unity triumphed over all. He called Lily, his heart pounding with hope. To his astonishment, she joined him, bringing with her a team from her father's company. Together, they fought tirelessly, navigating through rising waters and frantic families needing help. The strength in Jake and Lily's bond illuminated the community's spirit. As they worked side by side, their laughter rang louder than the cries of despair. Changes were happening, and in that moment, the world they lived in didn't matter as much as the world they created together. But when news of Lily's ultimatum arrived from her father, the ground beneath Jake's feet crumbled. Could love withstand the pressures of the life they had fought against? The weight of expectations clashed head-on with his desire for a brighter future. Would he stand firm despite everything, or would he watch the opportunity of a lifetime slip away? Jake felt his heart race as confusion battled with despair. The message carved a deep line into his brow, sending shivers of dread through his body. Lily's father had given her an ultimatum: leave Jake behind or risk never stepping foot in her father's boardroom again. It was a choice that felt impossible to fathom. He turned to face the workbench, hands trembling with uncertainty. A wrench lay on the surface, glimmering under the dim lights of the garage. It reminded him of the simple, honest work he had devoted his life to. Was that enough to hold on to someone who appeared like a shooting star in his dark, predictable sky? He threw the wrench down with frustration, the clatter echoing through the silence of the garage. Jake couldn't help but replay every moment spent with Lily in his mind, her laughter blending with the hum of engines, the way she looked at him with those bright, inquisitive eyes. They forged more than just a connection, they had crafted a delicate bond that felt otherworldly. And yet, here he stood, on the brink of losing it. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Lily. "Can we meet?" It read. Without thinking, he quickly replied, "Yes." Each Each tick of the clock felt like a countdown, excitement and unease swirling in his stomach. Later that evening, under the flickering street lamp behind the garage, Jake waited. The night felt heavy, the stillness pregnant with questions. When Lily finally arrived, her face illuminated by a soft glow, it stole his breath away. But the worry in her eyes mirrored the weight on his heart. Jake, she began, her voice trembling like fragile glass. I don't want to lose what we have. He swallowed hard, fighting the lump in his throat. Neither do I. But your father, he understand. He thinks money can buy happiness, can secure my future. But I just want to be myself, with you, she said, her voice rising against the night. But what if you have to choose? I can't let you risk everything, Jake replied, determination flooding through him. You deserve that life, Lily. You deserve freedom. What about you? She asked, her eyes glistening. What about our dreams? Jake closed the distance between them, taking her hands in his, rough and calloused from years of hard work. Our dreams don't have to be defined by anyone else. They're ours to build. He saw something flicker within her, the spark of rebellion against her father's firm hold on her life. It was powerful and mesmerizing. Lily took a breath, her gaze unwavering. I've realized something. Life is not about how many zeros are at the end of a picture or the status you hold. It's about connection, love, and standing up for what really matters. Jake felt a rush of hope surge within him. Then let us stand together whatever it takes. In that moment, the world around them faded away. The flood, her father's disapproval, the whispering townsfolk, none of it seemed to matter. There was only them, a shared resolve igniting a path toward tomorrow. But just as Jake leaned in closer, ready to affirm that they deface everything together, the piercing sound of a car engine interrupted their moment. Headlights illuminated the street, and Jake's gut sank as he recognized the sleek SUV bearing the unmistakable company logo of Lily's father. Lily. He whispered, panic lining his voice. We need to hide. As they ducked behind the garage, Jake realized that the real battle was just beginning. Would they be able to rise against the tide, or would they be swept away by the forces trying to keep them apart? Jake's heart pounded in his chest as the SUV rolled to a stop, its engine rumbling ominously. He and Lily crouched behind the garage, the darkness cloaking them like a shroud. His mind raced through a myriad of thoughts, each one more anxious than the last. What was her father doing here? Do you think he saw us? Lily's whisper barely reached his ears, tension lacing her voice. I don't know, just stay quiet, he urged, peering through the narrow gap between the garage and the wall. He could see the silhouette of her father stepping out of the car, his expression stern and purposeful. Lily. Her dad's voice boomed, echoing in the stillness. I know you're here. Get out. His words were laced with authority, demanding, as if the very ground should obey him. Jake felt the chill wash over him. He had never met the man, but he could sense how deeply intimidating he must be. Someone who held not just power in the boardroom but a tight grip over his daughter's life. As they remained hidden, Jake's grip around Lily's hand tightened, anchoring them together. He could feel her trembling. He wanted to assure her, to promise that everything would be okay, but in this moment of uncertainty, his words felt hollow. Lily, this is your chance to tell him how you feel, Jake said softly. You have to stand up for yourself. I can't, she replied, shaking her head, her eyes reflecting fear and doubt. Maybe we can sneak away, Jake suggested, glancing back toward the street, considering a route that could lead them to safety. Before he could shift into action, Lily pulled back slightly. No. If I just run away, it'll only make things worse. She had a point. He knew her father wouldn't he let it go. Deep down, Jake dreaded the consequences they would face. With another roar of authority, her father shouted, enough hiding. I'm not leaving until I have a word with you. Lily's breath hitched. He's going to ground me for weeks, then let's confront him together, Jake urged, a sudden resolve solidifying his voice. Lily took a shaky breath, her grip on his hand tightening. Okay, Together they stepped out from behind the garage into the unforgiving light cast by the street lamp. The air felt electric with tension. Jake could feel his heart racing as he faced the formidable figure of Lily's father. "Dad, please," Lily began, her voice surprisingly steady despite the fear flickering in her eyes. "I can't just abandon Jake. He is not someone I can just walk away from." Her father's gaze shifted from her to Jake, a mix of contempt and amusement crossing his face. "And you think he can give you what you need? A life, a future. This?" Jake felt a rush of anger at the dismissiveness in his tone, but he kept quiet. He had to let Lily speak. She needed to defend their love. "Dad, it's not always about that." Her emotions spilled over, her voice rising. "I know what people think he has what he can't give me. But I don't care about money. I care about being happy. And I just want to be with Jake." The words hung there, heavy and profound. Jake's heart swelled with pride at her courage, but he also knew that her father's response would be crucial. "You can't make a choice like that," her father countered, crossing his arms defiantly. "Do you really think he wants what is best for you? He is nothing but a mechanic." Jake's muscles tensed as the accusation cut deep. He remembered the late nights in the garage, the love he poured into every engine. But was that enough to compete with a world of wealth and power? "Stop it!" Lily shouted, her voice quivering, but her resolve was strong. "You don't get to dictate my life." The silence that followed was charged. Jake glanced at Lily, a storm of emotions brewing. Would her father finally relent? Or would he only tighten his grip, pushing them further apart? Just then, another car screeched to a halt nearby, breaking the tense standoff. To Jake's horror, he recognized the logo on the front. It was the company's security detail. "Lily, we need to go. Now," he urged, adrenaline pumping through his veins. As they turned to run, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the battle was far from over. With every step, he could hear the shout of her father trailing behind them. Would they be able to escape this moment together, or would they start to unravel under the weight of their struggles? The night felt dark ahead, shrouded in uncertainty, but Jake knew one thing for sure: the fight for their love had just begun. The sound of footsteps grew louder as they sprinted away from the garage. Jake's heart raced, each thud like a drum echoing his fears. They dashed down the street, Lily right beside him, her breath coming in quick, sharp gasps. "Where do we go?" she asked, her eyes wide with panic. "Let us head to the diner," Jake suggested, veering to the left. The warm glow of neon lights beckoned them like a beacon in the night. It was their regular spot, a safe haven where they shared countless late-night flies and dreams. "I can't believe this is happening," she whispered, casting a glance over her shoulder. "He is never going to stop looking for me." "We'll figure it out," Jake promised, even though doubt gnawed at him. "Just keep running." When they reached the diner, the smell of coffee and grilled cheese wrapped around them like a comforting hug. They pushed through the door, their bodies colliding with cool air inside. It was a relief to escape the looming threat behind them. "Jake!" Lily exclaimed, her voice lowering. "I'm scared. My dad, he has connections, and he won't let this go." Their usual booth sat empty in the far corner. They slid in, their bodies huddled together as they caught their breath. Jake glanced around, ensuring no one had followed them. "We just need time," he said softly, holding her hand. "Time to figure out what we want. Lily looked up, her big eyes glistening. "But what if he never accepts me being with him? What if I lose everything?" Jake felt a knot form in his stomach. He couldn't bear to think of her losing her family, her future. "I want to let that happen. We'll find a way. We just need a plan." "In a plan, you need an exit strategy," she said, her voice trembling. "And I'm not sure what mine is." Jake took a deep breath, contemplating how precarious their situation was. "Let us start by talking to each other. You need to voice miss your feelings, and I need to support that." Their waitress approached, and for a moment, they exchanged relieved smiles as she poured them coffee. The mundane rhythm of cooking plates and soft conversations around them felt grounding, offering a distraction from their worries. "So," Jake said when the waitress left, "if your dad is not ready to back off, maybe we can show him how serious we are. Together." Lily leaned back, chewing her lip. "Do you really think that would make a difference? It can't hurt to try. He needs to see that we won't let him control our lives." She nodded slowly, determination creeping back into her expression. "Okay. Together, right?" "Always," he said, squeezing her hand tighter. As they clinked their mugs together, a sense of solidarity surrounded them. But just as hope flickered back to life, Lily's phone buzzed violently on the table, shattering the moment. She hesitated, glancing at the screen before swiping it open. "Who is it?" Jake asked, his heart sinking. "It's my dad," she whispered, glancing up at him, fear written all over her face. For a moment, everything froze. The noise faded, and Jake could only see the woman dancing across her features. "Don't answer," he urged, and yet something in her eyes made him stop. "Wait. What if it's a threat?" Lily's finger hovered over the screen, doubt plastered on her face. Could this be a breaking point? Each second stretched as she decided. Finally, she pressed the call. "Dad," she breathed, leaving Jake on edge, uncertainty pooling between them. The tension surged, as the words exchanged would shape their path moving forward. Would they fall deeper into conflict, or could this be the turning point that could finally unite their worlds? Jake's heart raced as he watched Lily's expression shift from fear to steel resolve with just a single word spoken into the phone. "Dad." Lily's voice trembled slightly, but she swallowed hard, as if swallowing back the weight of the world sitting heavy on her chest. Jake clenched his fists under the table, the familiar diner sounds faded away, replaced by the pulsing silence filled with her unspoken turmoil. "Where are you?" Her father barked over the line. The authority in his voice sent shivers crawling down Jake's spine. "We're at the diner," Lily said, her tone firming. "And I'm okay. I'm with Jake." The silence that followed was deafening. Jake could see Lily's knuckles turning white as she held her phone, awaiting a response. He imagined her father on the other end, face taut with anger and confusion, struggling to grip the situation spiraling out of control. "Jake? You're with him?" Her dad finally hissed. "That boy means nothing to you. You know that. You're coming home now. I will not go back." Lily snapped, and each word seemed to cut through the air like glass. "I'm done letting you control my life." Jake couldn't help but admire her courage as her voice rose, echoing in the diner that now felt smaller, more intimate. The unwelcome thoughts clawing at the corners of Jake's mind were replaced by a sense of pride. "Lily, listen to me," her father pleaded, his tone dropping to a menacing whisper. "This isn't a game. You have to understand what's at stake. You have a reputation, a future. The future you plan for me, not the one I want, Dad." She shouted, voice breaking. Jake could see tears welling up in her eyes, glistening like stars caught in a storm. He reached out, brushing the back of his fingers against her arm, rounding her. "I don't care about the money or your connections," she continued, "I care about who I love. And that is Jake." The moment hung in the air like a heavy mist. Jake felt a tangle of emotions: pride, fear, love swelling inside him. He knew Lily was risking everything with those words. "What do you know about love?" Her dad shot back, disdain threading his voice. "You're just a naive girl who thinks she knows better than I do." "Stop. You don't get to talk to me like that," Lily said fiercely, tears now streaming down her cheeks. "I'm not that girl anymore." Jake's heart twisted. She was right. She was stepping into her own, but at what cost? "Lily," Jake whispered, wanting to pull her into a hug, to shield her from the storm brewing around them. Stay out of this, Jake, her father barked. Lily turned to him, determination blazing in her gaze. We'll figure this out together, okay? Jake nodded, jaw set tight. She was stronger than he had ever given her credit for. Their fingers intertwined, a small act of rebellion against the chaos outside their little bubble. Lily, you're making a terrible mistake, her dad pressed on. You will regret this. This is your last chance. I'd rather regret being myself than live a lie, Lily replied, voice steady, eyes never wavering from her phone. Silence enveloped them again as her father finally hung up, leaving an echo of tension in the bustling diner. The waitress moved past, glancing with concern, but none of the usual chatter felt significant enough to break through. What now? Jake asked, fear creeping back. I don't know, but I won tea back down. Just then, a fleeting glance out the window caught Jake's attention. A shadowy figure stood across the street, a familiar outline that made his heart drop. Lily, he whispered, we need to go. Now. The moment passed, and the gravity of their decisions loomed larger than ever. They had taken a stand, but at what cost? They needed a new plan, a real exit strategy, before it was too late. Lily's eyes darted to the window, panic flickering across her face. She squeezed Jake's hand tighter as the shadowy figure shifted slightly, now more visible under the harsh glow of the streetlight. The unmistakable outline of her father loomed there, neither angry nor desperate, but cold and calculating. Who's that? She asked, her voice a mere whisper, thick with fear. Your dad, Jake replied, his heart racing. We need to go. Now. Lily's breath caught, and for a moment, she seemed frozen. The realization of facing her father outside the safety of the diner sent a wave of uncertainty crashing over her. Jake's hand slid up to cut her cheek gently, forcing her to meet his gaze. Listen to me, Lily. You're stronger than he thinks. But we can't stay here, he urged, his voice low but steady, tears brimming in her eyes betrayed her fear. But what if he stops us? What if we can't get away? We will, Jake said firmly, his resolve hardening. You and me, together. Just like you said. She took a shuddering breath, drawing strength from his words. But as the seconds ticked by, she felt the weight of her father's presence pressing down on her. Get up, Jake said, rising from the booth. He offered his hand to her, an invitation filled with hope. After a heartbeat, she took it, her fingers slipping into his as if they were meant to fit. They moved toward the dingy wooden door, each step heavy with the torrent of emotion swirling between them. Outside, the night air felt crisp but charged, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The pale yellow light flickered behind them, a beacon they were about to leave behind. As they reached the door, it swung open, and her father stood there, a barrier between them and the world. I knew you'd try to run, he said, voice dripping with scorn. You think you can just leave? Watch us. Lily shot back, walking forward into the night, pulling Jake with her. Lily. He barked, but she didn't stop. She wooed and stopped. With Jake at her side, they bolted into the busy street. However, the moment they stepped into the chaos, her father's voice cut through the night. You'll regret this, both of you. Jake turned to face Lily, eyes sharp. Lily, we need a plan. We can't keep running. We have to find a safe place to think. I know, she said, determination mingling with fear. Just, trust me. There's a place I know, a secluded spot we can go. As they navigated through the streets, weaving through the night's shadows, Jake could feel every unease etched on her face. She was strong, but her vulnerability weighed on him like a lead blanket. It wasn't just the fear of her father that plagued her, it was everything they might lose if they were caught. They reached the park, its familiar trees standing like guardians in the darkness. The air was heavy, but here they felt a semblance of safety. For the moment, they could breathe. Are you okay? Jake asked, pulling Lily to a bench where they could sit. Lily's breath hitched, but she nodded. I never thought my life would come to this. He entwined his fingers with hers again, wanting to offer comfort. You have to understand, you're stronger than you know. All this fighting at LL paid off. A flicker of doubt crossed her face, but she pushed it away. Do you really believe that? Absolutely, he said, sincerity spilling from his heart. You're not just fighting for yourself. What we have, it's worth everything. As they watched the stars twinkle above, a silence fell over them, but it wasn't the kind that felt heavy. It was hopeful. Each moment, each whispered dream, each firm resolve felt like a small victory, but as they sat, a rustle in the bushes caught their attention, and Jake's heart sunk. They weren't truly free yet. The feeling of being hunted loomed closer again, and they were about to realize just how far her father would go to bring her back. Lily. Jake whispered, suddenly aware of the shadows shifting around him. What? She asked, eyes wide. We need to hide, right now. The tension tightened like a noose, and the threat of discovery crackled in the air. Would they truly be able to escape the storm together? Jake's pulse quickened, a mixture of fear and adrenaline flooding his senses. He scanned the park, searching for a place to dive into the darkness, away from the threats that loomed closer. The bushes rustled again, the sound seemed louder now, as if the night itself was mocking their attempt to escape. Over there. He pointed to a clump of thick shrubs as he pulled Lily closer. They stumbled into the foliage, the branches scratching against their skin, but they didn't keep pace. The quiet rustle behind them taught them the urgency of the moment. What if he sees us? Lily whispered, her voice trembling. He won tea. Just stay low, Jake reassured, his own heart racing. Close together, they huddled in the cramped space, holding their breaths as the sounds of the night surrounded them. They heard footsteps approaching, steady and deliberate, echoing ominously through the park. Lily pressed her back against Jake, feeling the heat radiate from him. With each step that drew closer, her fear deepened, consuming her thoughts. She felt the edges of panic clawing at her throat. Please, don't let it end like this, she murmured, squeezing Jake's hand tighter, as if their intertwined fingers could seal their hopes together. We're not done yet, he whispered, glancing at her. In that dark moment, their eyes locked, and she saw the unwavering determination reflecting back at her. It warmed her heart, even as doubt threatened to snuff out the light. Suddenly, the figure of her father materialized, looming just outside the bushes. His demeanor was unsettling, a mask of calm fury. Lily. He called, the name hanging in the air like a dare. You can't run from me. You can't hide. Jake tensed, muscles coiling like a spring. He could practically feel Lily's heartbeat echoing within him, her fear mixing with the unyielding flame of rebellion. We have to wait, he whispered, fighting back all the anger boiling within him. Her father moved closer, scanning the area with intentions that felt far too predatory. I just want to talk, Lily. There is no need for all this. His voice was smooth, but the edges were sharp enough to cut. Why don't you come out? It's dangerous here. Jake caught Lily's eye again, terror and determination battling within him. They both knew that her father's idea of a conversation seldom left room for dissent. I want to go back. I can't, she whispered, her voice almost breaking as a tear rolled down her cheek. The emotions surged within her, the weight of her father's threat mingling with the warmth of Jake beside her. Stay strong, Jake urged, stroking her hand with his thumb. Whatever happens, I'm not leaving you. As they huddled in silence, her father turned again, pacing in frustration. Moments stretched on, their breaths mingling with the night air, the world outside feeling as if it was fading away. Then, just as they thought they might be safe for a moment longer, her father's phone lit up, casting a harsh glow over the bushes. Where are you? He demanded into the phone, frustration bleeding through. I need backup. Now. Jake's stomach churned. Backup? Was he really going to bring others into this? The weight of realization grounded him, they were running out of time. What do we do? Lily whispered urgently, fear creeping back into her voice. Jake's mind raced. They could stay hidden, or they could take a chance. It wouldn't be easy, but they had to decide now. They had to plot their next move before her father's allies closed in. Lily, he said, his heart pounding, we need to move. If we're going to break free, it has to be now before it's too late. She nodded, and they both took a deep breath, edging closer together, preparing to make a choice that could change everything. Would they find a way to slip past the looming shadow of her father and into the light of freedom, or would the dark night pull them back into a world of fear and control? The tension curled in the air, electrifying and terrifying. As they clenched their hands tighter, hearts synchronized, they knew they were on the brink of a decision that could alter their fates. Forever. On three. Jake proposed, determination in his voice. On three, Lily echoed, her resolve solidifying in the face of fear. They took another breath, hearts racing, ready for whatever came next. Jake's heart thudded in his chest as he counted down in a hushed whisper. 1, 2. His eyes darted around, fearing that any sound would break the fragile stillness. 3. With a sudden surge of adrenaline, they bolted from the shrubs, limbs crashing through the underbrush as they sprinted into the darkness of the park. Shadows loomed large, branches clawing at them as they dashed toward the street, the pavement's outline barely visible beneath the moonlight. Where do we go? Lily panted, her breath coming out in sharp bursts. Just keep running. Jake replied, adrenaline pushing them forward. They dashed across the empty street, the echo of her father's voice lingering in the air. He could still feel the chill of her father's fury hanging heavily, and the thought unsettled him. They turned left, zigzagging down alleyways like ghosts under the haunting glow of flickering streetlights. The park shrunk behind them, becoming a lost memory as they traded trees for brick walls. It felt surreal, like they were living in a nightmare, but Jake had never felt more alive. After a few minutes of frantic running, they stumbled to a stop, leaning against a wall for support. The night was deafeningly silent, the only sounds their ragged breathing and the pounding of their hearts. Jake searched Lily's face, searching for signs of hope or doubt. You okay? He whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her face. She paused, her trembling lips betraying her words. I don't know. He felt a wave of empathy crash over him. I know this is scary, but we did it. We got away. He took a breath, his sincerity softening the moment. We just need to keep moving. Jake, he will come after us. I know he will, Lily replied, her voice cracking. What if we can't outrun him? But what if we can? He countered, his eyes lighting up with a flicker of determination. We've already taken the first huge step. We're going to find a way through this. Together. But he stopped. He will find us, or send someone else. Her voice faded as her thoughts spiraled. No, he insisted. We can't let fear control us. Not anymore. Besides, we have each other. He squeezed her hand, feeling the power of their bond. Before she could respond, a loud noise pierced their bubble, reverberating down the alley. They both froze, eyes wide. The unmistakable sound of a car engine burned to life. The sound echoed, drawing closer. Is that? Lily whispered, dread cooling in her stomach. Jake strained to listen. It's probably just someone leaving the club nearby. We need to move. But doubts gnawed at the edges of his confidence. Come on, we can't risk it. Quickly they darted down the alley, the world around them blurring into one endless space of uncertainty. Each step felt heavier, as shadows seemed to loom from all directions. Jake's pulse raced again, matching the intensity of their flight. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, blocking the alley exit ahead. Going somewhere. It was David, one of the father's enforcers, a sinister grin spreading across his face. Jake. Lily gasped, the panic spilling into her voice. Run! Jake shouted, pushing her back slightly. But there There was nowhere to go. The alley felt like a trap, every exit now sealed shut by dread. "Let us see if you can outrun me," David taunted, moving forward, every inch of him oozing malice. Jake's mind raced. This wasn't just a confrontation, this was a fight for their freedom, their lives. "We need to defend ourselves. Are you ready?" He felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, intense and urgent. I'm scared," Lily admitted, fear flickering in her eyes. His heart ached for her, and he mustered every ounce of courage he had. "Just trust me," he said, bracing himself. "Whatever happens, I want to let him take you." Lily nodded, the determination returning. In that moment, they were no longer just lost kids in a dark park, they were warriors fighting for their right to be free. As Jake prepared to face the looming threat, he realized that it wasn't just about escaping anymore. It was about standing their ground, but what neither of them anticipated was what would happen next, how David would push them to their limits and force them into a decision that could change everything. "Are you ready?" Jake breathed, looking deep into her eyes, knowing they had to face the unimaginable together. Then there was a loud bang, and everything shifted. The loud bang echoed through the alley, the sound reverberating off the brick walls around them, heightening the tension in the air. Jake's heart felt like it stopped for a moment as he turned to see what had caused it. But then he realized it wasn't an explosion, it was the unmistakable sound of a gunshot, its sharp report slicing through the night. His stomach churned and an icy panic took hold of him. "Jake!" Lily screamed, her voice piercing through the chaos as David dove to the ground, his eyes wide with shock. With instinct driving him, Jake grabbed Lily's wrist and jerked her back, pushing her against the wall, their breaths coming quick and ragged. Adrenaline coursed through him, his mind racing. "Stay low," he hissed, both of them crouching to minimize their visibility. They felt the cold, hard concrete digging into their knees, but that wasn't nearly as painful as the anxious knowing that filled Jake's chest. "What has happened?" Lily whispered, fear tightening her voice. Jake's eyes darted around, trying to gather information. "I don't know," he replied, his voice strained. All he could think about was that David was there, and they were trapped. But the gunshot meant someone wanted something from David or was acting on their own. It could mean opportunity. Another voice echoed from the entrance of the alley. "David, are you okay?" It was a different man, towering and broad, with a look of stern determination. "I'm fine," just David replied. His voice trembled slightly as he tried to regain control of the situation. "Let us get out of here," the newcomer urged, glancing at the alley entrance, where dark figures loomed. Jake felt the weight of their perilous situation. "We can't stay here," he murmured to Lily. "We're not safe, but we have to find a way out." He took a breath, feeling the warmth of the hand in his. "You ready?" Lily's eyes sparkled with fear and resolve. "Yeah, I am." With shared determination, they pressed themselves against the wall, inching sideways toward a narrow opening leading out of the alley, an escape route that felt like a chance at life. Adrenaline surged through Jake again as they passed quietly, holding their breaths as they approached the outer wall, the alley widened, their path clearer, but as they glanced back, David had risen to his feet, his expression hardened with fury. "Don't let them escape. They're right there." The newcomer turned, and Jake could see the gleam of a badge clipped to his belt. "Stop. You're going to make it worse." Jake's heart raced. Who was this man? Could he help them? A sudden surge of panic propelled them forward. "Let us go now," Jake urged, gripping Lily's hand as they darted toward the way out before David could rally more men. The tall man shouted behind them, but Jake didn't look back. He could sense fear bubbling in Lily. He needed to keep them focused. They burst through the opening into a side street, the cool night air hitting their faces like a refreshing wave. They could hear footsteps behind them, and the thudding sound only pushed them harder. "This way!" Jake shouted, pulling Lily toward a nearby corner, rounding the bend. Heart pounding, he searched for further refuge. He didn't know what waited ahead, but there was no going back. The idea of being caught sent an icy chill down his spine. Suddenly, they spotted a small cafe with its lights still on, evening patrons clearly unaware of the storm brewing just outside. In there, Jake pointed, gasping for breath. They had to blend in, become part of the normalcy. Luke felt if they made it inside, maybe they could lose them, but as they slipped through the door, reality hit them with crushing intensity. The warm atmosphere inside felt miles away from their chaos. People were laughing, drinking coffee, and sharing stories. Jake and Lily stuck out, wide-eyed and breathless. Before they could process their safety, the cafe door swung open again. The figure from the alley stepped inside. And in that moment, Jake realized they weren't just facing fear anymore, they were up against a powerful web of threats that would challenge everything they believed about themselves. "Look around, you want to hide here," the man said with a chilling smile, and Jake felt his heart drop. In a world where their lives hung by a thread, hope now felt as fragile as glass poised to shatter. What were they going to do? Would they find enough strength to outsmart their pursuer, or would this cafe turn into their final stand? The tension inside the cafe felt like a thick fog, clouding their minds and hearts. Jake could see fear flickering in Lily's eyes as her gaze darted around, searching for a lifeline amidst the laughter and chatter that contrasted sharply with their reality. "Think, Jake. Think." He mentally urged himself, the clock ticking down in the back of his mind. They needed a plan, a way to outsmart the looming threat that had just entered. "Stay calm," he whispered to Lily, trying to ease the panic swirling between them. "We just need to act normal." He grabbed her hand and led her to a table at the back. The clinking of coffee cups and soft melodies of background music surrounded them, providing a brief illusion of safety. Instead of bolting for the door, they slid into a booth as if they were merely another couple enjoying late-night conversations. Keeping his voice low, he said, "Just act natural. Look at the menu. We're grabbing coffee." Lily's voice wavered, but she maintained her composure, nodding slightly. "What if he sees us?" "He won tea," Jake replied, though his heart raced with uncertainty. He glanced toward the entrance as the man scanned the cafe, his presence hanging over them like a dark cloud. The fellow customers were oblivious to the tense drama unfolding just yards from them. Jake focused on the waitress as she approached with a warm smile, his heart pounding. "2 coffees, please." The waitress nodded and left, and Jake felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He turned to Lily, trying to catch her gaze and provide reassurance. "We'll get through this," he said, his voice steady now. "We just need to keep our heads low." As they sat in strained silence, the man took a seat at the front of the cafe, his eyes still sweeping the floor, looking for his prey. Jake and Lily exchanged quick glances, their hands firmly clasped under the table. There was a brewing strength in that small gesture, a reminder of their bond against the tide. Jake felt urgency coursing through him. "We need to leave here soon," he said, glancing towards the exit. "We need to find a way out, but we have to wait for the right moment. I can't let him take me away." "I can't," Lily replied, her conviction breaking through the fear. Jake felt the resolve spread through him like wildfire. Suddenly, the man stood up, striding toward the counter. Jake watched him closely, heart hammering. "This is our chance," he whispered, adrenaline coursing. 1, 2, but before Jake could continue the countdown, the man turned sharply in their direction, as if sensing the movement beneath the table. "Let us go," Jake suddenly urged, rising abruptly, grabbing Lily's hand. They dashed toward the back exit, hearts racing, the world outside the cafe calling them with promises of freedom. The door swung open and they spilled out into the cool night air, the sense of the city awakening their senses. They ran down the side alley next to the cafe, determination fueling each step. The thrill of evading danger reignited their spirits, but Jake had the eerie sensation of being hunted. They knew they had to keep moving, keep running, even as fear clawed at their heels. "There has to be a safe place we can hide," he murmured, scanning the streets and their surroundings. "I know where we can go." Lily exclaimed suddenly, a spark lighting her eyes. My old friend lives just a few blocks from here. He'll help us. Lead the way. Jake urged, as they turned onto the next street, their bodies in sync, driven by adrenaline. The vibrant pulse of the city surrounded them, lights shining brightly, but all Jake could focus on was keeping Lily safe. They rounded a corner, and she guided him, her breath quickening as they neared a nondescript building. Here. She pointed, urgency threading her voice. They rushed up the stairs, pounding on the door, terror and hope mingling in their veins. After what felt like an eternity, the door creaked open, revealing a scruffy young man with sleepy eyes. Lily? What is going on? He mumbled sleepily before his gaze caught the panic in their eyes. Please, we need your help, she said, her voice trembling but resolute. Jake stepped forward, placing a hand on her back as they both waited for the young man to assess the situation. We're being chased. We can't go home. Can you help us? There was a flash of understanding as the young man ushered them in, glancing nervously over his shoulder. Get inside, quick. They stepped inside the cramped living space, drowning in the comforting scent of coffee and old wood. Jake felt a tiny spark of safety as the door clicked shut behind them. But they knew they weren't out of the woods yet the threat still lurked in the city, a shadow waiting to pounce. What do we do now? Lily asked, her voice low as she sank onto the couch, visibly shaken. We lay low for now, Jake replied as he crossed the room, sitting beside her. He gazed into her eyes, pouring all his love and confidence into the moment. We'll figure this out together. As they sat side by side, knowing the shadows still loomed beyond, there was a sense of calm amidst chaos, then, a loud pounding erupted on the door, sending a jolt of fear through their bodies. Open up. We know she's in there. Came the voice that chilling familiarity of her father's meant, Jake's chest tightened. They found us. We need to decide, Lily. Are we going to fight for what we want? Lily's eyes reflected the sparks of bravery. I don't know, but I want to let them control my fate. I'm ready to stand up. Then let us face them together. No more running, this is our moment. With a deep breath, they stood up, hearts racing as they prepared to confront the world in all its chaos. They knew the stakes were high, but so was their resolve. Together, they would carve out their own path, a life defined by love, and they wouldn't look back. As the door rattled again, they held hands tightly, ready to face whatever came next. In that instant, blue skies seemed to promise a brighter tomorrow, one where they could finally be free. This was the moment of awakening, not just for themselves, but for that world around them. They wouldn't let fear dictate their lives any longer. They were rewriting their story. Together, now that you've witnessed this powerful ending, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to beat the algorithm and show your support for this amazing journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. I want to hear from you, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.